So now I'm going to show you how you can use Python statements to remove spaces that might be before data that was entered or after data that was entered, called leading or trailing spaces. So we're asking the user what's the capital of England. If they enter London in any form, capitals, lowercase, whatever, it'll convert it to lowercase and then compare it to lowercase London and say, yes, that's true if it happened. But what if they accidentally put a couple of spaces on the end of their answers here and entered city? Would that compare? Let's run it and find out. So run manual. Run the module rather. We'll say, what's the capital thing? I'll say London, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Put 3 extra spaces on it. I hit enter, and it says, no, London space is not correct. The capital is London. So those spaces are significant. It doesn't just discard them automatically. If you want them to be discarded, because, it's very easy to accidentally stick in a space or two when you're typing, you might just do it without thinking, and you don't really want to punish the user for that kind of behavior if it's not critical in any way. So the method or function that we use for that is called strip in Python. Now, I could just do this, change the lower to strip, and it would work, but I would have lost the lower check. I would have to enter, a user would have to enter in all lowercase to get a match. So fortunately, we are allowed to chain these functions. I can say strip, first do the stripping of the leading and trailing spaces, and then I can say lower, and then go ahead and turn what's left into lowercase. So now generally, it's not good to chain functions like this, especially if they're things you've written or things that are complicated. But this is such a common thing to do, to get rid of the trailing and leading spaces and to make something lowercase to be insensitive, that nobody seems to have much of a problem with that. In a glance, you can kind of see what's going on. So let's give that a shot now with the changes, and I'll put in capital N. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, London, and I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. I'll even add more than that, and then I'll say enter. Oops. And so there it is. Yes, the capital is London. So it got rid of these spaces and stuff behind there. What do you do? I'm going to tell you a little trick here. What do you do when you're not sure whether there's a space there or not? You're doing some programming, you're comparing data. There's a little trick that I learned that I might as well just show you now. If I really want to double check what was entered, I can do something like this. Print, I'm going to put in double quotes. I'm going to put a single quote and then another double quote. Sorry, I've got to put the parentheses here, yeah. So, and then I'm going to do a plus sign, not a comma, because I don't want any spaces skipped. City. Okay, entered city. And then I'm going to do another plus, and then I'm going to do double quote, single quote, double quote. Okay, so what this does is it wraps whatever was entered around single quotes, so I can see those single quotes, and I can see if there's any spaces between the entry and these single quotes. And that tells me, just as this is sort of a troubleshooting tool. This is not something that you put in your program to leave there. Let's just try this really quick and see this work. So what is the capital of London? So 1, 2, 3, London, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I hit enter, and it says London. So now you see the single tick, some spaces before and some spaces after. So if you're ever wondering why a comparison isn't working that seems that it should, you might try this little put a single tick around with the display to see if you're really comparing apples to apples. If you compare London space to London, it won't match. They're different. So the spaces are significant. All right, so that wraps up the lesson on how to strip out leading and trailing spaces.